In this lesson, we're going to begin to lay out some steam lines along the side of the boiler. I want to go into the layer manager. Let's unhide the blueprint layer we had it hidden earlier. Okay, we can left viewport. Make sure we're in the boiler layer still. We are. Let's hide the boiler. Okay, and you'll see I have like all these little lines that run along, and that's pretty much how the real train worked from what I could see. So what we want to do is this one right here goes up, curves, goes straight toward the back. So zoom out a little bit, and we'll go to line tools, spline tools. So it's shapes, line. Of course, we want to make sure we have corner and Bezier, which we do. Might need to hit F3 depending on how your video is displaying. We'll just drag this out all the way to here, and then come to here. I'm going to click and drag to create a corner, make it so you can see a little better, just like that. And then I'm going to just drag it down to there. That's good. Okay. Right click and go to perspective. Okay, so our line that we just created, there it is. I'm going to Alt and Q to isolate it so you can see a little better. Take a second. There we go. There it is. It's got a clean curve at the corner. Let's exit isolation. Let's unhide all and say no. Okay, so with that line selected, let's control and click on the boiler. Hide unselected again. I'm going to hit Shift and B, which is my shortcut for the rear view. Because of the orientation of the train, the front is actually at the back. It's not a big deal. Grab that line, pull it out here so it's not intersecting with the boiler. And now, if we go in here, vertex, let's just do this. Let's move these back this way. So a set of verts. Let's take this vert and move it. Click on this arrow. And you remember earlier that the Beziers we can manipulate just like that. Let's click on the next Bezier, right click. Make it a Bezier with set to corner and do that. And we want this to conform kind of to the shape of the boiler, which is kind of what it's doing now. Let's just kick it out a little bit. That looks better. And let's check it in perspective. It's important that you check these things because especially with splines, they can get a little weird, look a little funny sometimes. And I'm happy with the way that looks except for the top view. And what happens is, this is what I was saying earlier when we made those little clamps that are going to hold these lines. You can see that the boiler obviously has a little part where it gets wider in the back. So what I want to do is align some of the verts so that it doesn't intersect. So we'll just take this one, slide it out a little bit just like that. And later, if we unhide another section, we may need to bend it. And the simple way we're going to do that, we can always just refine this. And I mean, we're not sure where it's going to happen, but just in case, right where this section ends, I'm going to just place a vertice right there. Untick refine, and later on we have that point where from here back we can edit and not affect the front. Let's go back to perspective and check it out again. Okay, so it needs to be closer to the boiler, but it looks good. So what I'm going to do now is unhide all, no. Okay. Now we have that other section, so let's do it now while we're here. Top, F3, and go to vertex. And now can just move that in a little bit, just like that. Maybe even get smaller at the back later. We can always adjust our models. It's not a big deal. That looks good. Still a little far for my taste. So refine. And as I was saying earlier, we might want a little wobble to this too. So let's get it all done right now. Move tool, and we just refine and add those verts. And I'm just going to pull that in. Same here. Same there, and so on. Okay, there we go. It looks good. And now if you want to, you can also go back in with refine. Maybe at some point, let's say like right here, we have a little wobble in the line. So we add a vert close to another one. Maybe we'll just kick it like that. Go to perspective and make it a Bezier. It's a corner right now. And if we click on this arrow, we'll shorten up the distance for those handles so they don't have so much influence. The closer they are to this vert, the more the influence will be localized. Let's click on the Z. Just see, I like that. A little imperfection makes it look more believable. Okay, so now we have that. Let's move this whole thing a bit closer. Okay, there we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll up here, scroll up. And what we have is we have rendering. Let's expand that rollout. Let's do enable in render and enable in viewport. There we go, and you can kind of see that line now. I'm going to hide the boiler so I can get an idea of the scale of that. Hide selected. Let's reselect that line, and let's try to see. It should be a little thicker according to the blueprint. So simple enough. If we go back to the spline, go back to the thickness, which is in rendering. Let's just move it up a little bit. There we go. So now with that going up, diameter looks a bit better. I'm happy with the way it looks. And you can also, if you wanted to, change the interpolation. If you need more interpolation, sometimes as they go, like the splines go over these long spans, they can get segmented. So usually a good idea is 12. It's going to raise your poly count a little bit, but if you add detail or you make some curves, it'll support it a lot better. And let's now unhide that boiler. Say no. There it is. Okay. And there we go. We have that line in place. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to convert it. Oh, I'm not going to convert it. I think I'm going to just take an edit poly on top of this. So we have the line. We'll call it steam line 1 -01. Okay. Save your file again if you haven't been saving. Save often. Let's put an edit poly in the stack. So from the modifier list, edit poly. Let's go here and polygon. Let's select that polygon. Let's zoom in. What happens? Yep, there we go. What happens with the splines is for some reason now on Max, one end will have a perfect polygon that encompasses or fills in that last border, and one end will have a polygon with two little ones. So let's delete them. We're in edit poly, we can delete them. Border select that border, cap that poly, just like that, okay? And now select that polygon. We're going to convert it by coming under selection and control clicking to edge. It's a little wonky right there, so let's see if we can do make planar along Y. That helped. Let's do a little rotation. Again, I'm doing this on the fly. If things don't work as expected, try some stuff out before you trash it. Look, that fixed that pretty good, I think. So, okay, now I still want those edges selected, and I want to go down here and chamfer. So I'm going to come up, chamfer. I'm going to reduce that value a bit, add a couple segments, check OK, and now let's see how it looks. Looks good. It's got that faceting at the end because we did some poly work on it, so we're going to add smooth to it, smooth modifier. Roll down for your smooth. It's in this list way at the bottom, smooth, auto smooth, and there we go. So now we have that line in place. There are other lines. We're going to show you how to make one more after this, but what I'm going to do in the next lesson or the next video is show you how to implement those clamps that we built earlier. We're going to take those clamps, the line clamps, and we're going to bring them into the boiler layer, and we're going to run them along here just so you can see how they work and make any alignment we need to. So with that said, I'm going to pause the video and we'll pick up where we left off in the next.